Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk animated shows and movies here, especially Miraculous Ladybug and The Owl House. Find everything about us at overlyanimated.com. I'm your host, Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hey.
Today we are doing a special activity and
a special activity,
special podcast. We are doing a dual combined ranking of Owl House and Amphibia top 10 episodes, not together, but we will be going through our top 10 Owl House episodes, followed by our top 10 Amphibia episodes, as a capper to what was an exciting spring of both shows airing at once. And Amphibia is now finished airing, Owl House just pending the specials. So we thought that this would be a fun way to go through some of our favorite episodes, some of our favorite parts of each of the shows. I believe this idea is suggested by Stephen LP at some point in our Discord. And probably you will be seeing these as a combined podcast, but maybe there'll be two podcasts. We'll see how long it goes. TBD. But yes, we each are coming in with our lists. We have a top 10 list for Owl House episodes and a top 10 Amphibia episode list. Very exciting. We don't get to hear Alex that much on Owl House. You don't get to hear myself very much in Amphibia. We'll get a lot of different opinions here on each show. And we're going to go through our lists kind of 10, 10, 10. You'll see the format as we start going. But yeah, you can check out all the podcasts we did on both these shows at overlyanimated.com. As mentioned, we had finale coverage for both. We'll see if those finales end up on our list. One would think they will. So
if they're good, we would think that. If they're terrible, then don't even try it.
Okay, don't even try it. Bad finales.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't know if there's a bad finale here, but we'll see. We'll get some different opinions. So if you will just want to listen to, you can check all the timestamps if they're there in the podcast description for when each show starts. But we're going to get into Owl House first, and then we'll talk about Amphibia. There'll be spoilers for both shows, the entirety up until now when we talk about them. If you just watch Owl House, hadn't checked out Amphibia, you could stick around, hear us talk about it. Maybe you want to go watch the show after that. Kind of the one of the ideas there. So let's start to get into our Owl House list. I have some criteria to go over, just so full disclosure, about what we were ranking based on. This is more relevant for the Amphibia list, but each episode is a segment with a unique title, and finale episodes don't go together. So for the Owl House, there's 2-part finales, ranked separately. And other than that, every Owl House 30-minute is its own episode. So I think that's pretty clear. We're ranking, here's what I said. We're ranking our top 10 episodes, whatever that means to you. It could be what you think are the best 10 episodes, your favorite 10, or any combination of the two. And I want to emphasize these are just for fun, these lists. No lists are wrong. This is just our personal top 10, whatever that means to you. And we'll hear what that means to you when we start going through each person's list. So I think without further ado, the only caveat for the Owl House list being that if you're listening to this in the future, we have not seen the 3 specials yet that have come out. So this is a Owl House seasons 1 and 2 ranking. And I think it would be hard to rank the specials compared to these episodes anyway, considering they'll be twice as long, but we don't really know. We haven't seen them yet. So
when we get to Amphibia, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Yeah, so we'll see if that affected our ranking for Amphibia. So we are going to start for each of our lists. So I believe we can go Michelle, Alex, myself, if that order is good. And the first go around, we want to ask what was your criteria for your list, and any notable thoughts on how the process went in making it. And also, if you have any honorable mentions, you can say them now, or we can save them for the end. So Michelle, why don't you start us off with some information on your Owl House list?
So I made a very, Dylan, I will say this for Dylan, he let this be very open in terms of criteria. And initially I was like, do I want to try to rewatch all these? And then I realized, no, don't do that. So I decided to rank these purely from memory, which obviously puts some of the older episodes at a disadvantage because it's been a minute since I've watched them. And also, I can't guarantee that I remember them 100% correctly for what happens in them. But if you guys remember them better, I think together, then we can make sense of it. Do I need any other thoughts?
Is this?
That's all you got.
I'm curious
Wait.
if it's more of your objective top 10 or your favorite or a combination.
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
I think I try really hard to be like as objective as anyone can, but that's obviously impossible. So I tried to do both. Ones that I thought were like good at like setting up plot or good for character, or also just ones that I was just like, oh my God, obsession. Like this was honestly harder for Amphibia, I think, because there's just such a range of things you can like. But yeah, it's a mix. It is a mixture for sure. But I don't feel bad. I think it's a good list.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a good list, so we don't need to counter that.
Let's not say anything premature.
No, premature. I mean, how could there be a bad list of that? Okay, so why don't you go into any honorable mentions and then your number 10, Michelle?
Do I want to see what they are? Do I want to leave it a secret? No, I'll just say what they are. I'll leave the Amphibia ones a secret, but not these.
Okay.
So honorable mentions, I had 4 because I felt like that was a good number. I mean, it was infinite honorable mentions besides the ones I ranked, so I didn't want to go too far. My first honorable mention was Understanding Willow, which is season 1, episode 15 overall. This is the one where they go in her mind and all the portraits, they jump around and it's kind of flirty and they blush and touch each other's hands and maybe hug, if I remember correctly. And mostly I was just so excited for a Willow episode at that point because I loved her. She was such an underdog, and it occurred to me really soon in the show that she was like insanely powerful, and the show didn't really lead into that till season 2, and I'm glad they're doing it more, but like I love that. And then like, yeah, all this subtle flirty, like blushy blush back when it was still kind of a mystery if they were ever going to get together. Because it was right before Enchanting Grom.
What if Hunter went inside Willow's mind? Can you imagine what that
he
episode
would be too afraid to go in any picture. He would be like, I can't
he's scarred,
Captain's privacy. Yeah. So
Okay.
I like that one. And then Wing It Like Witches, which apparently is season 1, episode 17, and I'm totally blanking on what happens in this episode. I think it's the one where
It's the Grudgeby one.
yeah, like Basha's there, and Luce wants to fight Basha, I think for being mean to Willow also. And I don't even remember if they do well, but I remember the scoop of
Yeah, I mean, wow, sports. I mean, what else do you need?
Was amazing. Yeah, oh wow, sports iconic, and also like kind of Willow's involved too. So again, there's a pattern: sapphic, burgeoning love, and Willow in the honorable mentions. And then the third one was Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door. This is season 2, episode 27 overall. I like, as an entire episode, I was like, okay. But then like Hootie like freaking swooping in and like making Lumity happen single-handedly was like the most amazing thing the show's ever done. And I don't think that's radical to say. That was phenomenal. Good job, Hootie. And so it needed to be mentioned.
I thought this would be your top 10 Hootie episodes, so that's already an upset.
See, like, I really love Hootie, but I forget exactly what he does in certain episodes if I don't rewatch them. So this is a strong Hootie memory, so I could at least put it somewhere. Okay. And then the last one on my honorable mentions was Them's the Breaks Kids, season 2 episode. Wait, 34 overall? Oh, that's a lot. That's pretty high. I forget how many there are at this point. At least 34. This is the flashback, right? This is a flashback for Ida and Rain, kind of like how they meet each other. And I just, oh my God, like their meeting is so cute. Like Rain looks amazing, like them getting to know each other. And you just like, you see like where it all started and where they came from. And like the fact that like Rain freaking transferred schools to like have a friend that they're eventually going to like fall in love with and maybe smooch later. Like that, I'm so glad that episode was made. So that's my honorable mentions list.
Okay, good honorable mentions list. We'll see if these appear in me or Alex's list. What is your number 10?
Number 10 is Convention, season 1, episode 5. I thought this was a good one for a 10 because it's like the first time Like, I know Luz and Amity meet in the Abomination episode, which is probably like episode 2 or 3. But this is the first one where they have like a deep conversation, and like I think like Amity like starts to realize that Luz isn't just like this garbage loser person, and there's a lot going on, and she's trying really hard to learn magic, and like Amity can respect the hustle because she hustles every day of her life under her mother's watchful eye. And also Lilith is introduced in that episode. It's just like, what? Like, Ida has a sister, and she's like really cool, and she's the head of the coven. That thing was like a conflict, and they have a really good fight sequence, so that's why it's number 10.
Okay, that's a good choice. Convention's also one of my honorable mentions. Or no, that was your number 10. That is one of my honorable mentions, yes. So I'll say that. Alex, any thoughts or time to go into your list?
I'm going to go into my list because, so first let me go through my criteria here of like a similar thing of, I'm doing a little bit of objectiveness of how it fits into the story, but also how much I enjoyed actually watching the episode myself, things I'm rooting for to happen. That does affect my list. And I think that's how I usually approach rankings anyway. Like, I know I'm not smart enough to do a just objective ranking that it feels unqualified, but I can insert some of my stuff that I like into it, and that feels more right to rank episodes by. And in terms of honorable mentions, I will mention them as they come up in the ranking, but Convention was my number 11. It just missed.
Ooh, you ranked 11. You ranked your honorable mentions. It's so organized.
Oh, I guess the way I approached the rankings, I went through all the episodes and I did a cut down to 25 of like the episodes that I know I liked. And then from there, I rewatched the ones that were in like the 5 to 15 range to see like, okay, do I like these enough? And so like from there, I like moved my rankings around a little bit. So I rewatched a couple of episodes, but this was based on an initial cut down. And
very strategic.
Yeah, and Convention was like right on the line where it's like I do love the loose Amity, like that feels like one of the first steps of Lumity, and also the Ida and Lilith fight is obviously pretty cool. One of like the early moments of like, oh, like the animation of this is so nice to see them like shoot magic at each other. So Convention, very very good episode, just missed. My number 10 in this list is O Titan, Where Art Thou? The third to last episode of the second season. This is probably my favorite. One of my favorite King episodes. This is King, like, wandering off with Steve into the wild as he like figures out his business with how he's a Titan and trying to come to terms with his life up to that point. So I think that side of the episode has like a lot of quiet moments and a lot of fun moments, and also like gives King a nice character focus there. And on the Luce and Ida side, it's very angsty. Ida's trying to protect Luce, and Luce figures out that Ida's trying to send her away, and Luce is very angry at Ida, and I live for that kind of fighting between two characters that you love. I think that both A and B plot of that episode were very good, and it was a nice way to ease you into the finale of the season, because also in the background you're getting the plans to handle the draining spell, and Ida and not really having a plan, and at the end you figure out that there is a plan going on, that people higher up than them. So O Titan, Where Art Thou is my number 10 here.
Okay, that's an interesting selection. A lot of variety already. I remember that one. That just happened, so that's good. Are you a big Steve stan, Alex?
This episode got me there. The previous episodes, like I know
it's not really a thing.
We didn't know he was cute before that episode. That changes everything.
That is true. That may have affected my view. No, Steve's always been popular with the fandom, I think, but I just didn't get on board until here.
Yeah, I understand this. Okay, nice. So there you go. I should say, since I just remembered, you can find our list in the podcast description. I probably should have said that at the beginning, but there will be spoilers there for the whole thing, so beware. Okay. My Owl House top 10. This is my attempt kind of to rank the 10 best episodes, but I am certainly biased in favor of certain things, so I'm not going to.
I wonder which thing.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I in general, if you've been listening to this podcast for a long time, I care much less about objective rankings than I used to. So I'm not even attempting that anymore.
You're setting yourself free. Good for you, Dylan.
Yes, yeah.
Join the club.
Yeah, I mean it's been a minute since that, so ranking stuff is just for fun now. But Owl House, my comment on Owl House, especially compared to Amphibia, but there's only 40 episods here. I went through all of them, and I didn't rewatch, but I watched a lot for the podcast, especially the season 2. I just like Alex, I cut it off at around like 23 or something, and honestly, you could go up to like 30, and I think all of those are valid for your top 10. So my take on Owl House is this list could be anything. Honestly, I have a lot of honorable mentions, so I'll save them for after. I'll mention them if they come up, but I think Owl House is very consistently very good. So especially season 2, the end of season 1, there's so many things that could have been in the top 10. And honestly, I don't even think the top of the lists are that set in stone. I wouldn't be surprised if my number 1 or 2 were not even on people's lists. Like, I think it's very fluid. So I think more like top 10 worthy episodes than almost any show, and more kind of dynamicness in these lists. So it's kind of a fun one to rank, but really I could do anything for number 10 on it. I settled here. I'm tempted to switch it, but we haven't mentioned this episode yet. I'm sure it will come up on others' lists. I think it will be high on some people's lists, but my number 10 is Yesterday's Lie, which is the mid-season 2 finale. So I connect with personally less things in Yesterday's Lie than other episodes, maybe why it's at number 10. I was tempted to leave it off, but then I remember the rain scene at the end, and it's one of the best scenes of the show. And I can't leave it off the list. So I just think this is it's the one on Earth with Mom, and I should probably remember all the Earth stuff since that's going to be relevant.
This when the chancla happens, right?
That's the number one thing to remember.
That's a big point. And then oh God, I keep forgetting if it's V or Vi. V. V is adorable, and she's a cute slug, and she's there too.
So it's very good. It's just very high quality, emotional episode. I really love the ending. So I think this is definitely one of the highest quality Owl House episodes. And that's a good example. I could see this being number 1 on someone's list, or not even make it. So I think that's interesting.
This is also in my honorable mentions. I think that Mom. Obviously, you're looking for more Luce and Mom interactions, not having had much of it in the show so far, and that part's very affecting. The main antagonist guy is bleh. I think that's the only part that doesn't really hit my top 10. But V is great too, and obviously the emotional separation at the end of Luce and Mom is very effective. So it's a solid episode for sure.
Nice. Okay, Michelle, let's get to your number 9.
I would genuinely be surprised if this wasn't on both of your lists. But if it's not, then we can talk about how interesting it is and how wrong you are. No, I'm just kidding. My number 9 is season 1, episode 16, Enchanting Gromfright. This episode was fantastic for several reasons. One, Luce's freaking Grom outfit is the most disaster, bisexual, how do I be a interesting idea of a tutu lady but also a cute man at the same time. It came together kind of nice, and I think that's what Annie said. She's like, well, that's different, but it works for you. But I mean, honestly, for me, it's the freaking crumpled piece of paper when she throws it and it reveals Luz's name. That's so huge. The dance sequence was so lovingly done. I think that's some of the best animation we've seen overall, honestly, in the whole show still. And that was season 1. That was mid-season 1. And it's really nice when you're watching a show and you have inklings it might be queer. And then it's just ba-bam. And the sooner that happens, the more rewarding the overall journey of the show, I would say. So that was one of the things that I think, especially for Owl House, that has been very nice. So that is my number 9.
Okay. I assume we'll have more comments later.
I assume so, yeah.
Strong selection so far. Alex, your number 9.
Number 9. This is where I have Understanding Willow. I really like this episode. Like Michelle mentioned earlier, you got some good early Amity Luce interaction here, and also like you get the Amity Willow dynamic more closely looked at here for the first time, and seeing that arc of at the beginning of the episode, Amity and Willow are not non-simpatico at all, and that over the course of time you get to understand why, and you get Amity's point of view and Willow seeing that, and at the end of the episode is them at a better understanding of each other, and also like all this in the framing of like going into someone's mind episode. Like those are always pretty much always work on me of like, this is a unique way of like getting a good picture of what a certain character's deal is and why they are the way they are. So Understanding Willow is a very good episode. So that this is where I'm putting it.
Nice. I'm glad we have Understanding Willow love here. Definitely the standout one. I guess I was going to mention this on when I was setting up my list, but I think I was tempted to try to balance season 2 and season 1 in my list a little bit.
Okay.
I ended up going season 2 heavy for sure.
I mean, you're not alone.
But I was tempted. But yesterday's life, I took it out. That's why it would have been, because I wanted more season 1 representation. But there's so much good stuff in season 2, including this episode, which you could switch out for an honorable mention, but it's one of my favorites, which is Escaping Expulsion, which is the second episode of season 2. Lumity meet Amity's parents. Great stuff in here. You're hoping for Lumity follow up right away, and it's really great. They have great scenes, I think, throughout, but especially kind of towards the end. They're fighting the Abomaton, right? Stuff like that. Yeah. So love this one. I mean, there's a lot of Lumity on my list, but it starts here with one of the highlights from what was a great season for Lumity. One of the ones I would be more obscure selections, but we'll see.
I like that about you. You yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but I see why you chose it now that you explained it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a nice one. Yeah,
top 5 Lumity episodes. So yeah, I think that makes the top 10 overall.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if it makes top 5.
We'll see. We can count as we go down.
Yeah, for their relationship, I see that.
There's some big ones, but then yeah, I left some out too, so we'll see. But let's talk about Michelle's number 8.
My number 8 was from season 1, episode 18 overall, Agony of a Witch. I believe this is the first of the 2-part finale, if we can call it that. I mean, what can I say? Sister betrayal revealed. Like, Bellos is kind of just skulking around still until the second half, but that's not on this episode, which is mostly a battle of siblings. And it ends in this very heart-wrenching way, and Luz kind of fails momentarily, which is like always nice. I love it when protagonists fail. It's a good life lesson. Learn it young and then get better. It's just, I don't know. We've been seeding the like, who's in my dream? Who's the shadowy doorway person? And sometimes Ida will like call out to them in her dream state and be like, who are you? What's going on? And to reveal that it's her sister all along, that just like, that like, it's such it makes so much sense. And it's so satisfying because yeah, Sibs can be real petty, but then instantly regret things. And man, it's very good. It's very fraught, and that's fun stuff right there. So that's why it's my number 8.
Nice. Some heavy hitters going early on Michelle's list.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta get through season 1 so I can talk about season 2.
Get them in. Agony of the Witch on my honorable mentions. Just the fight scene.
I love the fight. The fight was
just one of the best scenes of the show.
So fun to watch. And I was like, yeah, everything gets wrapped up in the next ep, but like the fight's not in the next ep. It's here, and the betrayal is here.
I know some people even prefer this over the finale. So
I do. That's me. Yep.
You don't have the season 1 finale on your
list?
Okay, interesting.
It's more fun. This is where all this stuff like makes you freak out, and then that one is like, oh, okay, Luce got away. Ida didn't become a stone woman. Oh, that's nice. But like, this is where all the stress is. I like the stress more.
Okay, yeah. I mean, definitely a good one. We'll see if it's on Alex's list. Alex, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is, I don't know if it's a cheat to put these back to back, but I put Hollow Mind here because it's like the follow-up to Understanding Willow, kind of.
Wow. In terms of brain walking,
Yeah, exactly. It's the similar framing device, but this time you're going into Belos's head, and you got Hunter along for the ride instead of Luce. Some very traumatic moments for Hunter in here, and I think they're executed pretty well and effectively. And you also got Luce also like kind of shocked, like coming to terms with the fact that she is in a roundabout way responsible for Belos sort of getting up to this point, and she's coming to terms with that. The horror imagery in this episode is top notch, and Bellows is close to peak villain here in the way he talks to Luce, kind of like doing a big reveal, like you made me this, or so, like kind of like that. So Hollow Mind, a lot of fun. And I think that the fact that they went back to this framing device, and I think that it's slightly better just because of how much even more traumatic it was this time around than the first time.
Yeah, on my honorable mentions, I mean, Grimwalkers happened, so...
Grimwalkers happened, bam!
Yeah, even if the rest of the episode was bad, it would still be worth it, but it's also a great episode. So
yeah, Hunter realizing he's not really a person, maybe.
So
excuse you, yeah, he is. He's just a clone. That's all.
Clones are people too, but I'll keep the Hunter train going here with my number 8, which is Hunting Palisman, which is the Hunter Luce field trip episode in season 2. So this stood out to me a lot on rewatch. I think this is one of the best written episodes of the show. I think it's just so solid. Hunter Luce interactions, the whole episode goes really well together. I mean, I love Hunter, but again, it's like I'm tempted to take this out for like another Lumity episode or something, but I just think this one's so good. I gotta put it in here. Got Kiki Moore stuff going, Hand Dragon.
Hand Dragon's always nice when you got Hand Dragon in there, huh?
Yeah, well, I love the Hand Dragon. But no, this is one of the ones when I revisit, I was just like, yeah, this is just so solid. So it's such good character work in Hunting Palisman. Okay, Michelle, number 7.
My number 7 is us crossing over to the threshold of season 2, which we might.
Were they all season 1 so far?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did season 1, then season 2. That was the format.
It just happened that way.
Okay.
I'll talk about this later, but there's a reason for that. So the next, number 7 is season 2, episode 7, which I wish I'd written what it was overall because I can't remember now. But it's Ida's Requiem. Woo! You say, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious why. Maybe not everyone in the audience will agree, but like hot, angsty adult backstory music. They're okay with dying together, but then they don't, and then Rain gets captured, and it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? I mean, that sequence is obviously so beautiful, and I'll be honest, so I'm trying to remember. They were like bad, like Robin Hood people, right?
Yeah.
That's their. See, that wasn't that exciting, but as soon as the backstory started with this like beautiful androgynous mystery person, and then Ida had feelings about them, I was like, oh my god, hello, what is this? And it picked up so much from there. Such an exciting ending, like Eberworth and Darius. It's like new baddies. What are they gonna do? I mean, they're hot, but like, Like all that stuff in the back half of the episode is just so high. I feel like that really brought it up for me. And like this is one of my like favorite parts of the show. Is just like this adult angsty mess of a relationship, but like in the best way. You really want them to work it out if they don't die, you know? That's why it's number 7.
Yeah, because they didn't die.
This was also in my honorable mentions.
Wow,
I
none of us are very on the same page. This is very interesting.
Yeah, but I really do like Ida's rec. On top of what everything you said about Rain and Ida, which obviously is amazing in that episode. There's also like a little bit of King sprinkled in there too, with like
I forgot about King. What does he do?
He's trying to tell Ida that he wants to be like part of the family.
Oh yeah, and she's afraid that he like wants to leave, and she's dodging him. Oh, all right, that's true.
And then that adds to the final scene where like Ida's like, I have a family now, like I can't be as reckless as I want to be for Rain. So like it ties into that ending to give it an extra boost of drama too. So I think that episode is very well tied together by the end, and it really it does milk drama really well out of Ida's situation along with Rain.
Nice. Good stuff. That was Michelle's number 7, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So that means it's time for Alex's number 7.
Yeah, this is where I've got Eclipse Lake. I really like the Amity-centric sort of episode. Like, this is the one where Luce is kind of on the sideline. Doesn't happen that much in this show. I don't know if this is the only one where, like, Luce is not really a part of it. But, like, seeing Amity, like, deal with her potential... Her potential self-doubt of her status with Luce, and then Hunter using that to his advantage and like really preying on Amity's doubts. It's that's an interesting dynamic to come to, and obviously that ending fight scene between Hunter and Amity is also like very well animated, and Amity is at her most at her most well. What's the word? That's not badass.
At her most Katara, you can just say that.
That's Katara Amity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really awesome to see that side of Amity come out, and for Luce, it's a nice feeling. So Eclipse Lake is a very nice episode that's really boosted by how cool that ending is.
Nice. I remembered that for some reason that Alex is on the record as loving that episode, so I knew it was coming. So there you go.
I didn't know I was on the record already.
You must have been on a podcast around there, but I'm glad we have Eclipse Lake representation. Ida's Requiem neither on my list, but that's okay. They're both very good. With a lot of so many good Outlast episodes, right? They can just not be on even on an honorable mention and still be totally worthy. But my number 7 is the aforementioned season 1 finale, Young Blood, Old Souls. I will say a little rusty on this. What happens in this episode? Didn't rewatch, but so I just remember my feelings about it. I felt invigorated by Owl House's non-Lumity aspects in a way that I hadn't before after this episode. Specifically, I feel like the mythology starts here, in a real way. I think this episode kicks off a lot. I mean, I think we learned about the Covens. Maybe that was the previous one. But we learned about the 50 years, the Bellows stuff. The Bellows Lose face-off is great. Also, there's flashbacks in here, I believe, with Ida Lilith. I think it's in this episode.
I forget if it's this one or the previous one, honestly. I don't know either.
Both. Yeah, so a little hazy, but I think there's just a lot of good content here. Only number 7. In some ways it could be an honorable mention, and some it could be an number 2. So it was a good finale. I do think it's been eclipsed Lake by several season 2 episodes, which we'll get to, but still very good season 1 finale for the Owl House. Eclipse Laked. Yeah. Okay. I think we got it. Michelle, let's talk about your number 6.
Well, surprise, my number 6 is also Eclipse Lake. I should say also, it just, I ranked it a little higher. For me, I like all the Amity stuff, like Alex pointed out, like her struggling to figure out, like, how to be a good girlfriend because it's her first relationship, and just, like, all that stuff's so good. but also like Hunter's like trying so hard to like do a good job, but he's so desperate to be useful to Bellows that it's so like we know at this point like that's so like twisted and sad. He's like helping for his own like replacement demise almost, the backup that's gonna come after him if he ever gets killed. And like it's so good. I love seeing Amity and Hunter like have a moment because I wouldn't have anticipated we would get that. But I think it was handled really, really well. And they, you know, they're both trying to like stop each other and win, but they also kind of come to an agreement. And like Amity like gives him, from what, again, it's been a minute since I've watched this, what I remember is like she gives him a Titan's blood, one because he like straight up threatens her and like loses safety, but also I think she like senses like his desperation to have something, like anything he can bring back for Bellows. And she also knows that she has like the blood goop seeping into her glove, so she's gonna be fine. But like I kind of like that too. It's a little like they kind of see something in each other, even though they're not like friends or anything yet. And I think that was a cool note to end on. Also, Luce being like kind of like in this like high state off of like the mushrooms growing out of her head. Like that was just a cool idea of how to make someone sick in the demon realm. Like that was awesome.
Very nice. More Eclipse Lake love. That's number 6 for Michelle. Alex, your number 6.
My number 6 is Clouds on the Horizon. This is the next to last episode of season 2. It's probably most well known for being the Lumity kiss. You know, that moment of Luce coming up to the balcony and Amity jumping into Luce's arms. And then the kiss and Luce's awkward reaction. It was all like such. I remember squealing.
I was gonna say, I knew you like this makes sense that you have that high. You were excited.
Michelle was there for when that happened, and and surrounding that episode too, like you got it's like all the build up to the season 2 finale, and you got like Amity standing up to her mom and also Amity's dad finally like switching sides there. And of course you got the dramatic ending where they figure out that Luce was using an illusion to break away and go confront Bellows on her own. So it's just a very dramatic episode, very good setup to the finale. But yeah, Lumity clouds my judgment here, and that helps to get really high.
Yes, Clouds on the Horizon is your judgment. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a second one I've done. I mean,
I'm glad you shot your shot. That was very good.
Making episode puns. Look, if Owl House has such terrible episode titles, then I'm gonna make puns with them. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, there we go. I called it out. But yes, we'll see if this appears on any of our lists as well. Clouds on the Horizon. So, but we're getting my number 6. We're into my heavy hitters now.
Okay. Oh boy.
I think the season 1 finale too. My top 7, I feel like pretty solid. I could have changed out some other ones, but is this a good episode title? I don't think so, but it's descriptive, I guess. My number 6 is Follies at the Coven Day Parade, which is season 2, episode 11, or is it 12?
I will agree that is kind of a silly title when you bring it out like that. Yeah.
Episode.
But you're also right. It is very descriptive.
It is what happens. Yeah. We knew about this title for a long time. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you know I love this episode, so no surprise to see it high up on my list. I think this is the first time the plot threads converge in the Owl House in a super effective way. So I think this is some of the best storytelling in the show in this episode. Great Lumity. Ding. Lot of great contact there. And just great stuff for every character. So I still think, even including probably the finale episodes, this is still the best one at combining all the show's plot threads, but the last 2 episodes, do a great job of that as well. So, yeah, I mean, I would, like Follies and Hunting Palisman. These are like ones I think of as some of the best written episodes of the show. I always, enjoy, those sorts. So not expecting it to be on other lists, but there's Follies at number 6 for me.
Follies
is another good different like that, yeah.
Follies is another good Rain Ida episode too. I mean that confrontation they have in the alley is it's so painful at the time.
Yes. But our top 5 is here. So, I don't know what's in Michelle's top 5, honestly.
All the good ones.
Ooh.
Both season 2 finale episodes, I guess. So there you go. Let's see your number 5, Michelle.
I'm so excited. My number 5 is season 2, episode 12. That's not overall because it would be like 40 or something. I don't know. There's a lot of episodes.
We don't need to know overall.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Elsewhere and Elsewhen. And man, I love this episode. Oh my God. Like, I just felt like the more like we were getting like tidbits about like Grimwalkers and like Bellis and like, what is his deal? What does he really want? Is he a religious weirdo? Like, does he really just want to go home? Like, it seems like he has a brother. Like, what's up with that? Like, this backstory up was so good. Pairing up Lilith with like as a like her like embracing her nerd self with Luce is so good. Like all this subtle, like just him being like a young boy psychopath, like in the past is so good. Like Lilith punching him in the face, and that's like a scar he has kept this whole time, even though he's been using like a million talisman souls to keep his body normal, and he still has that nose scar from Lilith. Is so good. Like there's so many things about this that are just like totally my cup of tea, and I just freaking love it. And I'll say like this is the episode that led to probably like one of the best podcasts I ever got to do on here.
What was so memorable from it?
Wait, the episode or the podcast?
The podcast. That's what I'm concerned
crazy. About. Like I know 90% of those theories we came up with were like not ending up to be true.
Oh, is that the one where we yeah. Okay.
That's the one where we were like, they're gonna destroy the Titan bones and kill everyone because Philip is that petty and he wants that's how he wants to get rid of magic. Yeah, that was a lot, but it was very, very fun to do. And this episode made it all possible. And that was, I mean, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, for the record, in that podcast, I'm looking at the timestamps. We talked about, are the Clawthorns related to Philip's brother? Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still on the table. So not all of our theories were wrong.
Still on the table in this late stage of the game of the show.
Yeah, I mean, we know we know Caleb had kids probably. We just don't know if they're the Clawthorns. That's where we're at with that.
Oh God, I still can't handle that being so like small, insular, worldy. That would be literally insane. But we'll see.
I think we'll definitely find out whether or not it is true in the specials. Okay, I know Hollow Mind's coming up for Michelle now that you mentioned Elsewhere and Elsewhere, so I figured that out. Okay. Nice. Well, a lot of continuing different picks, so that's definitely a fun one. Alex, your number 5.
So this is where I have Young Blood Old Souls, the season 1 finale. I think it's a pretty it's a pretty good connection of a lot of plot threads in that season. I do think that this is the finale is where you get Lilith's side of the Ida cursing backstory and like talking about how like she they both wanted to get into the coven, and like her trying to reason it out, and Luce not quite having it, but like she really wants to help Ida, so like fine, I'll accept your help and stuff. And then you get like the Luce Bellows confrontation, and like Luce somehow figuring out a way to get Ida out. Like I'm hazy on the details there too, but like I do remember really liking how that season ended. So like even though like it is weird, and based on upcoming episodes on my list, I'll get into some other things related to this, but related to the finale. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there are still a lot of good moments in that, even if maybe it's surpassed by some other adjacent episodes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad we're showing the season 1 finale. Love it is not forgotten. There you go. Young Blood Ulsos. And my number 5 is its counterparts, King's Tide, the season 2 finale.
Ooh.
I will be the first on the board with King's Tide. So look, number 5, that's pretty high, guys. That's pretty high.
I like how you start with look, I'm about to
why are we looking at me?
It's controversial.
5 is high. Okay. I get I'm the lowest on it. Okay, no. It's look, we just talked about it. there's some really good moments in King's Tide. It's like I said, I think I love the Ida and Rain content, the emotional Ida content. The last 10 minutes, it's great. I will say, I think my grade for King's Tide right now is incomplete. I don't know where to rank this. This was the hardest one. So it's at number 5. Look, I need more Bellows stuff. I know I maybe
don't we all, Dylan? Don't we all need more
maybe
Bellows
just you and me,
stuff.
Michelle. I don't know. I think fans are done based on comments I've seen.
He's alive as a goop. I mean, that's something.
I've talked about this. I still feel the same way. I really need the Bellows lore to be completed, and I don't want to blame and it's hard to know where to place like annoyance in like is it the episode, is it the season, is it the show? I mean, I think it'll be resolved. I think most of this Bellows stuff is going to be resolved. I think it's the fault of Disney for cutting the show short. They shifted things around. I know since we've podcasted on the finale, I saw Dana C on the Instagram live thing that my interpretation was they moved the collector stuff up into the season 2 finale in response to the shortening of the show. So like I think that displaces Bellows. That's my theory. So I think if everything that I need to know about Bellows is resolved in the specials, King's Tide can only move up from here. You know, like 5 is its floor. It's so good that even though I'm super annoyed that it didn't resolve the Bellows stuff, it's still at number 5. But we'll see. You know, I think it's hard to grade the finale to a certain extent because it really is a lead into what's to come in the specials with the collector and everything. So let's see. But I know we'll hear more on King's Tide. So
I mean,
Michelle,
you don't know that.
I don't know.
you can guess.
I think you guys would have at least mentioned it as an honorable mention if it wasn't coming up here. You know, that's my guess.
Interesting.
Michelle, you're number 4.
My number 4 is season 2, episode 13. Any sport in a storm.
Okay.
Huntlow.
So Okay, I'm human. You know, but also I think like the thing with ranking season 2, like the reason so many of them ended up being higher is because like a lot of the back half of season 2, especially, it builds on all these characters and all this plot and the whole world and makes like interesting decisions that pay off because of the groundwork in season 1, right? But that's the thing. It leads to more interesting episodes that pair characters together in a beautiful way that is very fun. So yes, it's Huntlow's first official ep. It's the first thing I wrote down about it, and it matters a lot. Also, it's a Willow episode. We haven't freaking had a Willow episode since, like, Understanding Willow, probably. That was last season. So it was great to see her shine and be all sporty and cool and be the captain and Hunter to figure out how to socialize with other people near his age and then he like totally screws himself over like as soon as they become his friends and like him, he'd be like, cool, I lied to you, let's all join like the Hitler Youth of our world. And then like they all hate him, and then like Darius is like, you dumb idiot, like I hate you more now. And then he like realizes he was wrong when they're all in jail, and he's like, oh no. And then he fixes it, and then Darius like respects him a little bit and sews his patch thing on his cape, and he has a lot of respect for Willow and calls her captain, and that's like that's when you know this ship's forever. Like, oh my god, I can't believe this is their first episode and he's already doing stuff like that. Like, it's so fun. We get to spend time with characters we haven't seen in a long time, like Willow and Gus, and it's very nice, and it's I like that it's expanding more relationships outside of, like, I love Luce, I love Ida, I love Amity, but I also love not spending as much time with them sometimes for the sake of like the show feeling more balanced in terms of characters doing cool things. So that's why it's my number 4. I love it. Don't regret it. Huntlow forever.
Forever. Okay. Yeah, not shocking to see that.
Yeah. The also, Hunter Darius dynamic is really fun. I wish the show had a little more time for it, but like that one episode of it was a nice dose.
Also, he gives him like freaking Instagram at the end of it. Basically, he's like, here's social media. You're 16. Go be a real teenager. And just like, oh my God, yes. So good.
Yeah. Not on my list, but it's really fun. So I'm glad it's represented up on here. Alex, you're number 4. 5?
4.
4. Now 4. It's your number 4.
Yeah. I'm curious if what reactions it's gonna get, but this is where I put a line witch and a warden. This is the first episode of the show. Like I really like how the Owl House introduces you to the world. Like that episode like is obviously starting with like setting the groundwork of okay, Luce like feels very alone in the human world. Like doesn't have a place right now. Like kind of figuring obviously young preteen. Then gets thrown into this like horror world of like monsters with wings and mouths with pointy teeth, and like you get your introduction to Ida, you get your introduction to King, you get a pretty basic story of Ida using Luce to get to take something back, but then like over the course of the episode you realize that they're in a similar position to Luce, and Luce like connects the dots. It's like okay, now I have people who are like me, and like I feel a little more more sense of belonging here. Like maybe I should like test this out. But I think like it gives you a sense of the characters pretty quickly. It gives you a sense of the world pretty quickly, throwing you right in, and it gives you like a nice like bow and like okay, like this is where everybody's head is at to begin the show. So I in terms of pilot episodes, I think that the Owl Houses is one of the strongest that I've seen in a while, and I think given how much the Owl House does over the course of its show, like it's hard to put it high when like a lot of episodes do other things. But I do think just in terms of the work it's doing to set things up, I felt like it deserved to at least make the top 5.
It also has the iconic moment, I believe that's the first episode, when Luce puts her hood on and goes meow meow and pokes her little cat ears up. Like, why don't they do that more often? It's amazing. It's an amazing gag.
Why not more often? Oh yeah. No, I think that's a great call, Alex. Not on my list, but like I agree, Alex. Owl House has one of the GOAT pilots of any show we've talked about, so I love it getting some love on our list. We were all really blown away, I remember, from the first episode. Yeah. So my number 4, not expecting it on your guys' list, but this is I'm a known lover of this episode. Keeping Up Appearances, which is
wow, Dylan.
Season 2, episode 4. This is the Ida's mom episode. This is another one of the episodes that I think is one of the best written episodes of the show. I was super floored by this one. This is my favorite Ida episode. The generally just the work done with Ida's curse and the analogies to disability or chronic illness. I thought this episode and that plotline was the best thematic work the show has ever done, and I still think that. So I really love this one. I just think it's really, really good. I'm glad it's here. I know we've kind of moved on to other things with Ida when Rain came on. But this culminated the Ida's curse stuff really, really well, and a little bit in some upcoming ones as well. Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at my top Allies episodes, this one stands out. This is like, wow, this is really good in a lot of different ways. Than, it's not like just Lumity, not like any other high action or anything, but I think this is good start to finish, super solid and amazing character and thematic work. So there you go, Keeping Up Appearances.
Those are good points. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I just wish I remembered the episode better. Whatever you said, I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. That is a really good thing they accomplished.
Yeah, is that the episode where Ida goes into the mindscape and there's the owl beast by the beach, or am I confusing with a different?
No, that's
that might be a different.
Oh, okay, that's never mind.
But they kind of tie right into each other, though.
Yeah.
So I mean that is kind of the topper to this. That's kind of the conclusion to this episode.
Topper.
Is that a proper use of the topper?
I don't know. I like.
No one's ever said that word. So that's a Michelle type word, honestly. Yeah. Okay. Top 3.
Oh boy, now it's getting real. I mean, I like this episode. It feels real to me. I don't know if you're gonna agree. My number 3
what is it?
Season 2, episode 18, Labyrinth Runners. Woo, Labyrinth.
More Hunt Low.
Oh my God, shut up!
Oh, okay.
But also, guys, I mean, again, like I feel like I especially in season 2, I'm gravitating towards the episodes that focus on like side characters who are like sort of the main cast, but they don't spend as much time on them. And I feel like this was such a good culmination. Like Gus has had other episodes, but this one just felt the most like personal deep dive into his whole deal, you know, at this point in his life. Like he's a prodigy, he's young, like he like wants to make friends with people, they keep using him, that's very hard. Also his power can kind of consume him in this like anxious sort of way where like if just like he's going too deep into other people's emotions, and that's honestly like very terrifying. And like trying to control that seems like quite a task, honestly. And also like, it kind of sets up the stuff that happens in the season 2 finale very nicely, which is hugely important to the narrative. So again, I also love that for Gus, that he is contributing that much, because he should be. But also like the escalation of the coven stuff, like just like the way they just like straight up lie about it, and they're just like forcing all these kids to get coven sigils. It's just like, it's so ramped up, like it's all coming to a head in the finale. But like even at this point, like you can feel how tense this stuff is in this world, and like all the kids banding together at the end, like it's very great. And also very good hello moment. Like he knows, like Hunter knows straight away that that's not the real Willow in the hallway, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like this is really happening. So that's great. It's a fabulous episode. I love these relationships continue to develop this way. And again, like the more you flesh this out with the entire cast, I feel like the more rewarding the whole show is. So that's why I ranked it so high.
Okay, that's another fun one. That's not on my list, so there you go.
I like fun stuff. I like really sad stuff, but also really fun stuff.
Yeah, you like fun stuff. That's why Hello Mine's your number one.
You seem to like I'm getting a sense you like the ones that focus on the side characters a lot.
Yeah, I think you've hit all of them.
Well, because like especially Will, but also like Gus, like because it's like it came so late, but it was really good, and the whole episode was like a really good balance of like multiple characters, and just like the decisions they were making were very exciting. It was just like, it was a well-crafted episode on top of it being Gus. And it just like for all those things, like just came together to this like really nice, like I'm going to rewatch the heck out of that. No, I didn't before this, but like in the future I will.
This would have been the time. Okay. Clearly we need more Hello in the specials. So let's hope. Alex, you are number 3.
This is where I got Agony of a Witch. That's the last episode of season 1. I'm in agreement that I think this episode is slightly better than the season 1 finale. We mostly talked about already from when other people have mentioned their rankings, but yeah, like that ending fight between Lilith and Ida is just the best, and you know, Luce being caught in the middle of it. The moment at the very end of the episode where King is in the cake and he's like, "Hey, where's Ida?" And Luce is just on her knees, and it's one of the hardest hitting endings to an episode I could recall. That episode it has a really high peak, and then the ending is like slamming into a wall. So
you know what that is, good. Alex? You know why it's so sad at the end?
Why?
Because Hootie's sad, and that's when got real. When Hootie looks upset, it's right?
Even Hootie.
Even Hootie is miserable. That's how serious it is.
Hootie is upset when he's captured in the season
I
2
was
finale.
So like
I shouldn't have brought that up.
I was so upset with him. How dare he get captured like that?
Watch Michelle not rank the season 2 finale because of Hootie being
-5 capturing Hootie.
Yeah. Anything else on that, Alex?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, definitely a good episode. I think a lot of people would be in agreement with you ranking it highly. So there you go. That was your number 3. I'm trying to remember what everyone has ranked or not ranked so far, but you guys haven't talked about the season 2 finale yet, so that's coming up. My number 3 has been mentioned. It is Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door.
What? Okay, it's not because of Hootie, I'm assuming, though. It's because of the sapphics.
I mean... Hootie is also wonderful.
Oh, you said it!
In this episode, because he gets Lumity together.
Because you said Hootie is wonderful.
In this
I don't know if you've ever said that before.
I know. I don't think I have. Probably if I did, I would have been in this podcast because we were all happy that Hootie got Lumity together. No, this is I think this is not that hot of a take in terms of this being number 3 because it's Lumity confession episode. I think that people love that. The Ida stuff is also fantastic with Ida talking to the Owl Beast. I think minor notes that the collector parts of this episode I do not gel with our version of the collector in the finale, so that's a little weird to evaluate at the moment. So we'll see how that.
There was discourse about that after a podcast, and people were theorizing that the owl demon, that is like Ida's curse, like that's a being that existed before her and maybe knew the collector in a previous life or something, and it was the owl's perception of the collector.
I think that's what happened for sure. Although it's hard to understand, but no, the collector the collector just comes across as not like a weird kid, just
a tall man or something. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but it's still the Ida content's fantastic, and I love that Ida plotline accepting her curse, and so appearances into Hootie's story. It's wonderful, and then the Lumity parts are also really wonderful. The only reason this isn't number 1 is I guess it's weird because it's like 3 vignettes, and the King stuff is slightly not as good, but King is also great. But that would be why it's not higher, but still number 3 overall. It's so good is knocking on Hootie's door.
That's very fair. Wow, I didn't expect that, but it does make sense now.
Yeah, I think this is, I would say, the fandom consensus top episodes, Agony the Witch, Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door. So
I genuinely forgot when I was writing my list that all the Ida stuff with the super cute little baby demon owl happened in that episode.
Yeah.
If I had remembered that, I might have not made it an honorable mention. But hindsight is 2020.
Okay. Look, you had to make room for Huntlow. That's fine.
I mean, somebody had to.
That is true. Someone had to. I don't think the other people here did. But maybe Alex's top 2 will be Huntlow. We'll see.
Any sport in a storm, number 1 episode of the show.
That would be fun. But Michelle, time for your number 2.
My number 2 is season 2. I think I wrote some of these in the wrong number, so I'm not going to say the number in case it's confusing. Season 2, the King's Tied Ups.
The finale,
yes. Oh my god. There's a lot. Like, Bellows being being too confident. Let's be real. Being too confident in himself and too soon in the game to piss off Kikimora, which ended up being his ultimate undoing. Wow. Fabulous. Like, even his burn when he's like, why don't you find a hole to go wither and die in? Just like, Jesus Christ, Bellows. Like, I knew you were evil, but a savage. How could you say that? King, and I think I said before, I didn't start off liking King a lot as a character in the show, but this was the most satisfying episode for King. You really felt his struggle up till now in terms of his identity, the bombshell of who he is, who his father was, being the last of his kind, wanting to be helpful, but everyone wanting to protect him because he's a baby and important. And then him doing the ultimate sacrifice, it made so much sense. And it was very, it was surprisingly poignant to me when it happened. It was a huge move. But also, all the Bellows stuff was crazy. And the collector's this neurotic kid. And, no, go, honey, you need to leave. Just ignore my cat. The collector being this chaotic child is such a crazy choice. We kind of got that vibe when we could hear them before they had a body, but the onesie outfit they got was fantastic, and just how cavalier they were about just destroying Bellows in a second and moving the sun. It's all crazy, but it's so good. It's just I think finales can be really challenging, but they set up so many pieces really well leading up to it. And even if this is not what they initially planned on doing before the episode list got shorter, man, they really went out with a bang on this season. So just hands down, all of my respect and admiration and horror. And also they didn't completely kill Bellows. I love that. I love that he's a little piece of goop and maybe he's going to do something in season 3. That's crazy, but we get it. He's still going to be there and relevant. So very good. Deserves the second place, hands down.
Okay. A lot of good thoughts. We're leaving the cat in. Okay.
She's gonna hear you. She's gonna jump up here.
Oh no. Is there? I guess who's the cat? I guess King is the cat.
He does kind of look like a raccoon cat thing.
A raccoon. Oh man. Yeah. Tanuki. Raccoon dog.
In terms of liking trash, I feel like that he has that in common with raccoons.
Okay. Does King like trash?
I
guess
like
he collects
does.
the.
I mean,
stuff,
Ida likes trash.
It's a callback.
So,
Yeah. There's more season 1 stuff, but yeah, that's true. Alex, you're number 2.
My number 2 is this is where Enchanting Gromfright lives.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously, this is the top Lumity episode for me. Seeing you see Amity in pain and wanting to figure out like how to help her, and like her attempts to help are initially kind of clumsy, but eventually she figures out what's the whole Grom situation, and obviously the Lumity dance at the end is just so amazing, and you get the reveal of Amity's letter. Like there's so many like great Lumity moments in there, and it's also combined with like a little bit of like sprinkling in Luce's latent fears during the first season as well, of like not like feeling guilt over escaping Earth and what her mom thinks about things. Like I think that's a nice added element in the episode as well. But and then also like the ending of that episode too, where you get the reveal of somebody sending letters to Luce's mom too. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in this episode outside of Lumity, but also Lumity is so great in this episode, and just seeing it that transit. This feels like the transition from like initially like not knowing how to handle each other to like really getting close finally. So and the fact that it happened so early in the show is like still like so incredible to think about, given the context of where we've gotten with queer representation up to this point. That it happens in the middle of season 1 is so cool. So yeah, this is I'm guessing that this is a number 1 episode of a lot of people, and I get why. I think number 2 is still a very fine position for it.
Yeah, two's of course still very high.
It's 1 away from 1.
Yeah,
how
one plus
closer
one.
can you get?
Yeah, that's as close as you got. Yeah, no, definitely another fan favorite. So we got Enchanting Gromfright for Alex at number 2. My number 2. And I will say my top 3, I believe, is interchangeable. So I think you could put any of them in any order. My number 2 is very high for this episode. Clouds on the Horizon, as mentioned.
Wow.
This is the second to last episode of season 2. Bet hot take is it's better than King's Tide, but again, King's Tide's grade is incomplete, so we'll find out. But look, I love this episode. It's so a lot of stuff does come together very well in here, but you got the Lumity kiss, which is everything. Already up there on its own. But then this is also one of the best Amity episodes, and I'm a huge Amity stan. So Amity defying her mom, everything in the bubble is amazing. And which I know sounds weird out of context, but if you watch the episode, and just there's great Amity's parent stuff, even though there's not a ton of it, it is very good in this episode, and just the whole last 11 minutes or whatever is basically perfect. Definitely some of the high points of the Owl House. I love Clouds on the Horizon, and there you go, 2 Lumity episodes so far in my top 3. So that's, I guess, my unconventional choice for my top 3. But let's get to our number 1s. Not that they're maybe that much of a surprise. We'll find out.
Not because of you
I
having your
Michelle's
little thoughts
1.
going in the background right now.
I didn't actually know it'd be number 1. I could tell it would be high at some point. I figured it out.
Yeah, you did figure it out. It's season 2, episode 16, Hollow Mind. Oh my god, this is the best thing in the world. I love this episode. It's just like, what a pairing. Luce and Hunter are gonna go into Bells' mind, like, which is great because you have like Luce being all sus about everything and Hunter being like in like the most extreme denial that anything is wrong here and that Bells isn't his great best uncle bro ever. and like them starting out in his fake mind and seeing all the memories, and then like they go to his creepy inner meta mind, his inception mind in the basement of his head, and like just all of the slashed out portraits and the just like the murder and all the towns, and just seeing the palace like it explains everything except for the stuff it hasn't explained, which is mostly the brother stuff. But it like gives you all the pieces to kind of put together a rough summation of what has happened and all of Belos's reasoning, so that even when we get confirmation on certain things in the finale, we don't necessarily need it because we figured it out in Hollow Mind. And it's so good. Like it's so like sad and creepy and devastating. Like both for Hunter and Luz for separate reasons, and just like we all knew that Belos and Philip at this point were the same person, but just like seeing Luz go through that again is a lot, and she's having a hard time with that. And Belos is just such a smug little man about it. And it's just, they thought they were helping the right one, but that was the sneaky one all along. Like, that's very in line with Belos's character. Just, like, all the murdered and failed Grimwalkers. Like, again, like, trying to count all those masks. Very fun for me. I wasn't right about how many there were, but it's a very fun exercise anyway. And that's just, it's such a perfect episode to me. Like, such a good culmination of lore and stakes and just, like, the creepiest character, in my opinion. And just like Hollow Mind is an amazing title. Yeah, not all of them are great, but that is such a winner when you think about what it means, like Belos's Hollow Mind and what kind of person he must be for that to be his mindscape, right? Like the delusions are off the charts, but the fake one on top and the creepy dust mint murder graveyard one deep inside of him, like, and that's the real him. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I love this episode. It's number one for sure.
Wow, you convinced me, Michelle, that Hollow Mind is the best title.
I got so excited for it. And you took it all away.
No, that's a great.
It is the best title. It is the best title.
No, honestly, that's like the only good title among the one we've.
I mean, I think Agony of a Witch is a good title, but Hollow Mind just feels like more like metaphorical, but also literal. You know, that's what's good about it. At least I got you halfway. I'll take it.
Yeah, halfway. Yeah, it's the like lore climax of the season.
Yes, it is.
It's so hype. I mean, we were so excited.
It's the best episode to put clues together. Truly, nothing was more fun than when we finally got the high res images of all those portraits, and we went through one by one and placed them in sequential order and figured out what went down.
Like the best fandom episode.
Oh,
too.
good. Yes. 10 times better than the Grimwalker book reveal. 1,000,000 times better, because just more was at stake. There are more pieces to play with. Like, it was absolutely superb and painstakingly done, I imagine, by the part of the crew people. But, like, man, the payoff was phenomenal. So, good job. Good job, number one forever.
Okay. Number one forever on Michelle's list. You heard it here. The specials can't be number one.
No, they can't, unless it's a whole specials Belos. But that
they really should.
I mean, I don't know if that's fair to Huntlow and Lumity and
Huntlow's the first thing you list as it's not fair to.
What is the name of Eden Range ship? Is it Rada?
Rada, yeah.
That's not a very sexy name, but I guess I'll take it. Okay, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, Lumity, then Rada, then Huntlow. Right, like
no,
the priority order? No, that's not the priority list?
Yeah, Huntlow, then Rada, then Lumity.
I mean, this is a blazing hot take, but
because
in terms of the fandom, I guess they agree with you because the fandom likes their new toys.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You like the new toys,
yeah. More expectation and anticipation of what if, the more excitement. Like Lumity's settled and happy, and
they're dating, not exciting anymore.
Yeah, old couple now. We make room for the new ones
until they get married in the flash forward in the last special.
I mean, I bet Lucy's gonna have a really cool ponytail by the time that happens.
Oh yeah, is she gonna keep the ponytail? That's the real question. Okay, but it's time for Alex's number one, and he has not yet mentioned King's Tide. We'll see if it's this. Go ahead, Alex.
It's not on his list. That'd be so crazy. I'd be so impressed.
Let's look for a really random episode.
Yeah, you should. You should though.
Who's moving Hassel? Number one.
No, like, sue me for recency bias, but like I put King's Tide here. Like, it's a really good conclusion to the season and to the show as we know it. I want to say, like, as I'm watching Owl House, I'm not as invested in the lore stuff as I think you two are. So like the fact that like stuff isn't complete for me like doesn't really bother me at all. Like I'm kind of happy with where we're at the end of that episode. Like I feel there's just enough for me to be like, okay, I know what things you could do for season 3, but also I feel like a lot of stuff got talked about. So I had a fun time with that. And then like just like the action stuff of Luce confronting Bellows and then all her friends coming to help out. The king stuff in this episode is really good. There's that moment at the beginning of the episode that's like kind of a quiet moment where like he's in Willow's arms and like seeing everybody squabbling, and then like Willow does her thing with the talismans of getting them to calm down by eating and
angry.
Yeah, and Willow's like, you can find like your own way to help people sometimes. Like it's like a weird, like for a finale that felt like a really interesting way to start it off. Like it felt a lot quieter than you would expect given all the action in the previous episode in Clouds on the Horizon. But and then like it obviously ramps up. You get some nice Rain Ida stuff. Even though like I do feel robbed that we didn't get a kiss there. Like especially Lilith butting in while they're talking, but like it's still very nice to see their interactions during the episode, and you get stuck in like a weird place where you're like you don't know for sure like what Rain and Ida's fates are like once everything is said and done. And like obviously you get the dramatic separation of Luce and King. Everybody's in the human world, and most importantly, the reason it's number 1 is because there's Anne from Amphibia on the newspaper when we see Luce's mom. So any Amphibia connection immediately leaps the episode to number 1. So King's Tide, great episode. The possibility that a special could overtake it. There's obviously a lot of room to go, but right now, this was my favorite experience watching. Maybe because it's freshest in my mind. Maybe Enchanting Gromfrite could jump it at some point when all is said and done. But like right now, King's Tide is what I would say is my favorite episode.
I thought you were going to rank King's Tide as an Amphibia episode because Anne's in there.
Well,
I guess you could try to do that, but it wouldn't be much of an Amphibia.
You're not going to look at it to see where it slots in.
Look, I think it counts. But no, that's a great choice from Alex. I bet if we polled the fans, I think majority would have King's Tide at number 1. That's my prediction. So I think you're totally on the ball with not out there at all. I think Hollow Mine would be on some people's lists as well. But my number 1, I don't know if we know what it is. I mean,
how many episodes are left? I don't even know anymore.
There's not that many lists. Yeah, my number 1 is Enchanting Gromfrite.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. So, we've talked about this. I don't think if I was going to try to rank pure objective quality of every minute of the episode, this is the best Owl House episode. I think there's some flaws with it. The reason why
like the Gus King plotline of that,
right? Yeah, yeah, and it's very fast. But on the other hand, fast is good. The reason why this stands out to me when I'm looking at this, Clouds on the Horizon, Knock 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 on Who's Door, which are also the 3 big Lumity episodes, but that's not how I'm ranking. It's also just the 3 best episodes of the show. Is the reason why this stands out as number 1 is I think this is Owl House's iconic episode. Like if I think Owl House, I think Enchanting Gromfrite. So I think this is the show's most memorable content. Its biggest moments are the dance and the unfurling of the letter. I think it's just so iconic. So like my top 10, is it number 1 best? I don't know. Is it number 1 iconic? Yes. Is it number 1 favorite? Yes. So I think that's why kind of averages out to being my top episode. Yeah, I think this is the highlight of the Alice. The Lumity is so amazing. It's just this is the most exciting I've been. I mean, season 2 is also so amazing, but just the late season 1 experience of going from like shipping Lumity at the beginning, people aren't actually expecting it to happen, to it ramping up, and then actually it's canon in season 1. So that's the best as a fan. Like I loved going through that. So season 1 gets into my number 1 spot, despite for sure season 2 being stronger overall. But and I will say, I totally room for the specials to get up there on my list because, I think these are all really, really great, not necessarily flawless episodes. Owl House kind of quantity over high points. But there you go. We have three different number ones. That's very fun.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
We did it. Any honorable mentions left, Michelle, or any thoughts on hearing all of our lists?
Honorable mentions. I am, upon reflection, I'm kind of like, I was so focused on Huntlow, I did neglect Hootie a little bit. But again, like, it's really hard to remember what he did in, like, which episode, unless it was, like, a really specific thing. So, I mean, whatever episode it was that he beat up all Lilith's guards in season 1, like, that's a highlight. But I don't remember which episode that was. That was a great moment. Stuff like that, I would rank higher if I had to do this again. But as of now, I refuse to change it. I think it's perfect. The end.
Okay, refuse to change it. There you go. Alex.
The only honorable mention that we didn't hit on, I had Separate Tides in there, the season 2 premiere. I just like the taking Luce out of the Boiling Isles and onto the ship, and I don't remember like much specifically about it, but I just felt like it set a good tone for like recovering from the season 1 finale. And I feel like everyone else in that episode is also kind of recovering. Lilith is also like kind of like licking her wounds in that episode too. So that's one that I think does a decent job of bringing you after season 1 happened. That felt like a good easing you back into the world kind of episode that I appreciated. So that's an honorable mention that didn't get mentioned here. Overall, I think that Owl House does a really good job of setting up character arcs and giving them very satisfying conclusions at the season finales. Like I feel like I ranked the season finales in next to last episodes of both seasons pretty highly. So I that's always what you want out of a show, right? It builds up and pays off. And I think Owl House has done that in back-to-back seasons. And knowing that season 3, I'm very excited to see what they managed to do with the limited time that they got. So I'm very happy with the show so far, and I want to see how they decide to tie this all up.
Nice. My honorable mentions, most mentioned already. Convention. Lost in Language was not mentioned. This was the Lumity Library episode in season 1.
That one's nice, but there's no Willow in it, unfortunately. Or it would have maybe made it there.
I did not have Hunlow or Willow as a criteria, but it's kind of weird that there's no Willow in that because it's like a school episode. Anyway, it's an early one.
She loves school. No, just kidding. She probably likes it a normal amount.
Well, Willow's in Convention.
Okay, and I have Understanding Willow in my honorable mentions. Wing It Like Witches was my number 11, so just missed. Another iconic Lumity episode. Agony of the Witch we talked about. Reaching Out has not been mentioned. Another Lumity episode. This is the duels one in season 2 with Luz's dad passed away. Great Lumity moments by the Grom Tree. So easily could have been on my list. Really good one. And Hollow Mind. So there are honorable mentions, but there's even more than that, honestly.
Wait, Hollow Mind was an honorable mention?
Yeah, didn't even make my list. Is that offensive?
No, it's not offensive. It's your list, but also as someone so hyped for lore, that's a little scandalous.
I know. I do have a hard time evaluating it because it's like, it's the payoff. How much is the hype for the lore? How much is the quality? But also, like, who cares about quality? But, it's like, it's one of those. It's a little hard to determine. But, again, it easily could have been, like, 8 to 10 on my list. They're all basically the same. Okay. There is our Owl House list. We are at about hour 20, a little over hour 20. We're going to take a break, but should there be a separate podcast? We have to make the call right now. Should we break this off into a separate podcast?
I think for the sanity of the listeners, if it's going to be 3 hours long, that's a lot.
I think it'll be probably shorter.
It'll leave them in suspense. And not me. No, not me and Amphibia. No. It'll be long.
Well, we set. I guess if we do break into a separate podcast, I have to set up everything again. So
that's not so bad, right?
Yeah, no, that was why it would be short, just because we went through the whole stuff in the meeting. But I'll say refer to this other one. Okay, we'll break it off. I'll probably release both at once, and then you can.
Okay.
Yeah. But that'll yeah. So there you go. We're coming up is the Amphibia podcast. I hope you didn't listen to that one first.
Yeah, you better
if you
not.
did,
Don't do that.
you probably got spoiled on these lists. We're totally going to talk about our Owl House list during the Amphibia podcast. So I know I'm warning you at the end of this one, so that wasn't helpful. But there you go.
Again,
Okay.
if we release this one first, then they won't get confused.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe back to I don't know. Okay, we'll figure it out. So there you go. That's it for Owl House. Let us know what your lists are. Check the description for our list. You can overlyanimated.com. Click on that. You leave us comments on YouTube. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Cat Sass, and thanks to our patron executive producers Steve, Michael, and Phonician. Coming up next on Overly Animated. Insert the clip here. Okay, wasn't that exciting? So that's what's coming up on. I'm not actually putting it.
I was like, wait, is this some kind of editing magic that's going to happen? That's
I know.
We
not
should
happening right now.
just chant tails, and put
Don't spoil my list, Alex.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, I bet we're gonna have some wacky picks coming up on Amphibious. So
that's why I want to have energy for it.
okay, so we will see you guys on that podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Stay tuned.